Alabama city councilor is under fire after calling another city councilor the N-word. Now, people are demanding that council member Tommy Bryant resign from his position, although he's explicitly said he does not intend to. We're going to take a look at a clip from that city council meeting earlier this week, but I do want to let some of you guys know that this may be triggering for you to watch. Take a look.
If you want to talk to me about what I do, you can talk to me about what I do. I'm big enough to take care of myself.
Well, even your wife did say on there that you were against LGBTQ. She said that in one of those groups. Yeah. And she calls us blacks.
N-word. Let's get to the N-word.
I mean, I know I'm black.
Do we have?
You want to address what I have to say?
Do we have a house in here?
Yeah, you.
Okay.
Do we? Hey, yeah, do we? Would she please stand up?
Y'all are seeing this, right? Cameras? All right.
That's what Miss Freeman was called.
That's what the mayor called her. What do y'all think about that? Huh? Y'all like that?
In executive session. It was not any of us.
I want to read something. I want to read something else that Nancy Bryant posted. She says, we have questioned where he lives. He owns multiple rental houses in Tarrant, but no one we have talked to knows where he lives. The address given for him at one point is a rental with a Hispanic family living there. He told my husband he is rich and can live anywhere he wants to. This was after he belittled Tarrant and said only poor people live here. He seems to think being mayor made him God. As for how he got elected, he sent vans to pick up people who probably never voted before. He promised them things for their participation to get a black mayor elected. Not sure if he paid them anything.
And so we heard the mayor trying to proceed with this meeting, Ben, but clearly the councilwoman who was called a house N-word was emotionally distraught after this. I think not only does it deeply concern me that this council member, Tommy Bryant, used this word at a city council meeting towards a black woman, but the fact that the bailiff was so nonchalant, or maybe not bailiff, security officer, he was so nonchalant, the mayor just proceeds. It just kind of seemed almost like a regular occurrence.
You know, I'm trying to get as much context from the video, and I appreciate you playing as much of it as you did. I know we had to cut it because of the council member beginning to sob, and we don't want to cause any triggering effects for anyone who's listening, especially those who are listening with, you know, this in full surround sound. To hear that council member sobbing like that really did something. That said, it's strange that in the mind of this white council member, he, in a strange way, it felt like he thought he was doing something. I don't know if he thought he was doing something right. I don't know if he thought he was doing something smart, or if he thought he was. I think he thought he was making a point. But I think the real only point here is, white folks, that's not a word for you to use under any circumstance ever, period.
Yeah. And if you heard at the beginning, he was saying that's what the mayor said. And so there's this accusation from Councilmember Tommy Bryant that the mayor had called someone the N-word. And so he was pointing that out, and he was under the impression that it was this black council member. And you can hear faintly in the background after he says that that's what the mayor said. He said, well, not about her. And so I don't know if the mayor has used the N-word in private or public conversations. But when the mayor was asked about it, he said, watch the video. The video shows you everything that you need to know. And so the question here, to me, it's not about whether the mayor used the N-word or not. The question at hand is about what repercussions should Councilmember Tommy Bryant have for acting this way during a council meeting? Is this behavior appropriate?
Oh, of course not. Again, like, I don't know what he thought he was doing. But whatever he thought he was doing, he was poorly mistaken. His calculus was off. I'm seeing online there's some reports, some rumoring in the Twitter sphere that he's talking about running for mayor. He's like, he's doubling down now. He's confident about his arrogance with that word. And that's the thing. Like, you know, you're right. Regardless of what a black person decides to do with that word, that is not for white America. Like, I mean, there are plenty of black people who disagree on that word. I mean, we have deep divides in our community over that word. However, that's our business. And so should this man have been doing this, Tommy doing? No, not at all. And he should suffer the repercussions, because some words, it is no longer theirs to use. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that he should pay a political consequence for that. I don't think that he should be allowed to sit in that seat. I think he's racially incompetent. If you're going to serve a district that has any population of black people, even if it doesn't have a population of black people, behind closed doors, you should not be perpetuating hate towards a group of people. And so I really hope that this district can do what it needs to do. I believe it's Tarrant, Alabama, where this took place specifically. I hope that someone can stand up, because we didn't really see any jarring response from people who were in there. In fact, the woman who's sitting next to the black woman who was called the N-word, she was like, "Oh, you can excuse yourself." Huh? You need to go tell Tommy Bryant that he can excuse himself indefinitely. And do you see the security guard just sitting there with his arms folded? And he's a black man. I'm sorry, but if I was standing there and I was working security and one of the counselors used the N-word, I would politely walk my black behind up there and ask him to leave, escort him out. That is what should have happened, in my opinion. And the fact that it didn't happen, the fact that he was allowed to stand up and call her a house N, and no one in that room did anything about it but gasp, is the reason why now he thinks he has the caucasity to run for mayor.
It's the emphasis on the caucasity that is sending me, because that's exactly what this is, Georgia. And then you just threw me, because I had a really good point, but the caucasity has thrown me for a loop, because the arrogance of it all, right?
There's another security guard right there.
And oh, that's what it was, Georgia. Remember the story we covered where the police officer, or rather the sheriff, put the KKK on the black officer's desk as a quote unquote joke. Yeah. And the black officer was caught on video stumbling over, laughing. Like there's a little bit too much familiarity with the descendants of, well, we're descendants of enslaved people. There's just a little bit too much familiarity when you can let them laugh about KKK and you can let them laugh about get away with saying the N-word. Like, I mean, if you can govern yourself, however, you can govern your blackness however you want to. But I'm with you. If they got the caucasity to open their mouth to say that, and I'm security, I need to go and ask them to remove themselves from the premises.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I guess this is not the only thing that he said during the meeting that was problematic. I want you guys to take a listen to a comment that he made about Muslims as well.
We're talking about embracing everybody, and everybody here said, yes, we all agree to that, and that was great. I don't think you really understand what you were saying, what you were agreeing to. For example, Ms. Beltran says she is a Muslim. All right. It's Buddhist. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. But now let's say we have someone here as a Muslim. All right, and we embrace the Muslim. If you know anything about the Muslim religion, if you're not a Muslim, their religion says they need to kill you. Do I have the floor or does someone else have the floor?
I mean, you want to address me, so I can address you. Don't do that.
Mayor, I was talking and someone interrupted me. Could you please say that? And if you read the book, if somebody interrupts, you can have police remove them.
Okay. No. Hold up. Y'all used to do that with Tuck. Removing people.
This is what y'all used to.
We're not doing that.
This is
we will not use our police to harass people. That's where I draw the line. Because I was the one sitting in.
I don't comment because
wow. Wow.
He just who the hell elected him?
This guy.
Who elected him? Who voted him into office?
You look at the confidence of his ignorance, the confidence of his mediocrity. He really got up there, and now he's on the international stage demonstrating that he's so confident that he knows what it is to be a Muslim, that he's going to make this categorically bigoted interpretation of the Muslim faith, suggesting that if you are a Muslim and you don't believe what a Muslim, or if rather you're not a Muslim and you don't believe what Muslims teach, listen to the ignorance. Listen to the depth of the bigotry. He's so confident that now he's known internationally as a guy who really doesn't know anything. And we have to ask the question, like you said, who the hell elected this moron? Here's the thing, Georgia. We got some of those people in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Except for I think that they just know how to act. They don't put their bigotry on full display. While they're on
Donald
the floor.
Trump. Well, you have Donald Trump,
Facts.
right? We got Marjorie Taylor Greene. We got Josh Hawley. They
never said the N-word on the floor, though.
Oh. I guess to me, the thing is that the N-word, I'm sorry if it's a shame. It's a sad testimony that this man had to say the N-word for us to finally flag the level of bigotry that has been running in him all this time. Right. But he said it and we got it on tape. And now we see the depth. Oh, the depth of the bigotry that lies underneath people who are so casually willing to say the N-word in public. Got to be more careful.
And it's interesting, I think, too, the fact that he had pointed out when he was interrupted that the security should toss that person out. Yes, and the privilege too that's there, that you have that much power and control, that when someone opposes your viewpoint or wants to correct you when you're wrong, the amount of power that you have to just toss people out. But I think that's what should have been done to him. But we're going to continue to follow this because something tells me that this story is we're not at the end of this story. I think that there's more to come. So we'll continue to follow this. In the meantime, I do want to pivot here. Those of you who have been following the controversy at ESPN with Maria Taylor, Rachel Nichols saying that she felt Maria Taylor's only got the job because she's Black, right? So Maria Taylor's is leaving now. Which I'm happy for her. I'm excited to hear what her next opportunity is because she is a very talented reporter and she deserves it. But after all of the backlash, and honestly, I do believe ESPN strong-armed Rachel into this apology. Take a listen.
Thing they teach you in journalism school is don't be the story. And I don't plan to break that rule today or distract from a fantastic finals. But I also don't want to let this moment pass without saying how much I respect, how much I value our colleagues here at ESPN, how deeply, deeply sorry I am for disappointing those I hurt, particularly Maria Taylor, and how grateful I am to be part of this outstanding team.
I'm sorry, but I'm still a part of the team. I didn't even get a slap on the hand for my performative allyship. Ben,
it's the rest of that clip that gets me, Georgia. I know we've covered that clip, that apology before, but the next part of that clip, if you just let it keep playing, those brothers that are on set with her, they started to give her the pat on the back. It's okay. It's okay. Whatever her name is. Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing about it. She had the nerve to talk about our sister's qualifications when she is quite literally the hookup. Her entire career. Well, I can't say that in her entire career, but in this scenario, it don't look good for her. You want to judge someone based on their credentials, you better have gotten where you got based on your credentials. And if my memory serves me correctly, that's not her story. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think for me, when you look at corporations and you look at networks, and being a person who's faced discrimination at a network, right? The fact that ESPN doesn't care enough about diversity and inclusion to give some a warning, something, anything. Right. And I also think ESPN could have gotten in front of this and made a statement as well, or did what they need to do to make Maria Taylor feel comfortable with staying. And so to me, it's much deeper than just these two women and what happened. And I know a lot of people come to Rachel's defense by saying, oh, she didn't know that it was recording, and we got to be careful because what you say behind closed doors could come to the light. But the reality of it is where we are as far as our nation goes, where we are right now with race, this is front and center, and it has to be dealt with, because if corporations and networks can't figure out how to manage the culture within their company, and they can't figure out how to hire white people who are true allies and not performative allies, then they are going to continue to fail at retaining professionals of color.
Right. Exactly. And they cannot expect us to perform, to simply allow this type of, this is directly connected to the Alabama story. In that there's an expectation that Black people should allow certain behavior to simply pass unchecked, because the system says that we're going to allow it to pass unchecked. That mayor, or rather that council member in Alabama, who we just talked about, who was so casually using the N-word, right? The expectation was that he should be free to do that, and everyone Black around him would have to accept it, even to the point of the threat of removal. The same thing here. We have this, and I want to give context. I mentioned some things that I want to make sure everyone understands with regards to Rachel Nichols, the one who had the nerve to talk about Maria, our sister's talent. Rachel Nichols is related to Diane Sawyer. She has connections in the industry. Right. When you think about just the nepotism that's involved in the entertainment industry in the first place, and quite frankly, George, you can speak to it from the journalism perspective. There is nepotism up and down. White folks get the hook up more than anyone else, but they have the nerve to criticize us based on this figment of their imagination that we're not qualified because of some pursuit for diversity. So the very pursuit of diversity in this country suggests that Black people are not qualified and that we're diversity hires, when they are themselves the recipient of nepotism.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And I think to that point, Ben, is why I feel like it's the bigger problem is the fact that ESPN stood aside, stood silent, and didn't confront this and say, actually, according to our hiring practices, Maria Taylor is more than qualified to do this. They should have denounced it, and they should have given Rachel some consequence for what she did at the minimum. And the fact that ESPN didn't correct Rachel. They didn't give her any type of consequence. And then it looks like they had to pull her arm, and they forced her into an apology strategically while she had Black colleagues on set with her to dialogue and say, oh, it's okay. So to me, that felt very orchestrated. It didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel genuine. And it feels like ESPN is going to go on business as usual, and that Rachel is going to continue leveraging her nepotism to get ahead. And anytime that someone of color stands in her way, she's going to play the race card. People say that, oh, you're going to play the race card. That's what you call playing the race card. You know, you're going to sit here and minimize this sister's expertise, her experience, her education, all of the things that she has to bring to the table because you were not chosen.
And also because, like, how do you minimize? I just want to say, as a person, and Georgia, I know you could speak to this. I know the rest of the team, they could speak to this. The amount of velocity and acceleration that Black people have to get escape velocity in our careers, to break free, to break through all of the competition, to get to places and to doors that our parents did not have the ability to open doors for us because they were so busy just trying to survive and respond and react to white supremacy in their generation. But there's an entire generation of us who are knocking on doors as Black professionals that people could never even imagine. And the way we got there was because of our hard work and because of our tribe and our people and everything that they poured into us. And to have that dismissed by someone with the caucasity to call out diversity when they're nothing more than a nepotism hire, the absurdity of it all. I just
absolutely. Well, and the last thing I'll say on this, Ben, is she also did this. I know what it feels like as a woman. Because we have diversity issues here with women. This is a male-dominated company. It's not the same. I'm a woman and I'm Black. It's not the same, Rachel. You want to compare being a woman in a male-dominated industry to being Black in America, to being Black in a company, to being Black and being a woman? It's not the same. And it makes me remember also, historically speaking, going back, a lot of times when we look at the violence that's been perpetuated against Black people in America, the face of that is white men. But white women too have perpetuated just as much harm and violence. And although this is very microscopic and very microaggressive, it's triggering to the Black body re-experience this type of harm. And if companies, and I can't enough go back to the accountability that companies have to begin. If you're a CEO, if you work in a C-suite, you're a vice president, you manage any people, you got to start to weed this stuff out.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. There has to be accountability for this type of behavior. Otherwise, what's going to happen the next election cycle, Ben, is we're just going to get another iteration of Trump.
That's it. That's exactly
as long
right.
as we sit back and we're complicit with this, these viewpoints, this perspective, this hate towards Black people, it is only going to get worse.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you know, the tone, I think one thing that we should do, and we don't have to do it this morning, but I just want to compare that tone that you were talking about, Georgia, because the tone that she had in that apology, Rachel, certainly didn't match the tone and the energy she had when she came after our sister. Right. So keep that same energy up. And then ESPN, govern yourself accordingly. You can't. One of the most important things I heard in this entire conversation, Georgia, you said it. If these organizations are not going to hold their own staff accountable, then they simply do not deserve the level of talent that we bring to the table by sheer virtue of our struggle. And then to have that struggle dismissed by a nepotism hire. Okay.
And the game is changing with the way that the internet is growing. What we're seeing is Maria Taylor's does not need ESPN. ESPN needs her.
That's it.
Maria Taylor's, she can literally start her own network online there are pathways now. If they don't want to give you a seat at the table, make your own. If they decide they want to give you a seat at the table, but make you sit at the table for the little kids, for the Black kids, right? Eat at the table and treat you like crap, or what do they say? Invite you to the party, but don't ask you to come dance. When you start talking about inclusion within these corporations, they're going to continue to struggle. And it's interesting because 10 years ago, the conversation around diversity within these corporations was, oh, we just can't find, qualified Black people to hire. So now you're finding qualified Black people, but now we just can't get them to stay. I wonder why. Because you don't know how to treat people, because you're asking people to conform, because you're asking people to come into hostile work environments. When now, if the shoe was on the other foot and that Black woman said anything condescending to that white woman,
they would have lost their minds. They would have lost their minds. Georgia, we actually have that audio of Rachel. This is what she said. And I want you to listen. And those of you who are watching, you can read the transcript and you can identify all the voices. But the main thing that you need to listen is how she dismissed our sister's talent as a diversity hire. Let's take a look at that real quick.
Said to me, hey, instead of posting the NBA Finals, why don't you do Doris's silent reporter job for the NBA Finals? Because guess what that would clear the way for? For Maria to do the hosting. Yeah. So, I have declined. I don't know what their next move is, but they are feeling pressure because of all of that, and I'm trying to figure out how to just, my thing is that I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity, which by the way I myself know personally from the female side of it, go for it. Just find it somewhere else. You're not going to find it with me.
Actually fix her mouth to say that. The caucasity to fix her mouth to say that. And she herself is a nepotism hire. Because even at a minimum, and I'm going to be quite I don't know the HR. I don't have the HR receipts on her hiring process, but I can tell you this. I guarantee you Rachel benefited from her connections and her family connections far more than the woman that she's trying to dismiss as a diversity hire. That I can guarantee you.
The last thing I'll say here, Ben, when she says, yeah, you want to give her more things to do, that's fine. But just what? And that's really when you look at the crux of Black America being able to advance, Black America being able to have equity in this country, right? That's what it breaks down to. That white people, you're all for Maria Taylor getting the job. You're all for her getting maybe equal pay. But if it comes to you having to make a personal sacrifice, that's where you draw the line.
That's where you draw the line.
How are we ever going to have equity in this country when we know what the disparities are? And for the allies, you consider yourself an ally. You consider yourself being a person who understands what it feels to be excluded or marginalized because you're a woman in a male-dominated space. So guess what, Rachel? There was a white man somewhere at ESPN who had to make room for you, who had to step aside and say, it's time. Rachel deserves, as a woman, to be able to do this work too. But you have so much privilege and entitlement that you can't see the bigger picture here of what it means to create space, to create opportunities. And it's not even your opportunity to create. It's not even your network. And so I think that's the part about this that bothers me the most, is because she is the accessible as we know, Karens, right? We know all the Karens. There's Rachels in every single workplace.
Ooh, Lord, y'all not gonna have any names left. They ain't gonna have no names left, Georgia. I hear colonizing diversity. Rachels are white women who colonize diversity
in the workplace.
In the workplace.
I'm done. We're on the clock. We're over time.